Hello, listeners. Welcome to episode 1 of Clash of the Correspondents. Today we have with us Chris and Johnny.
Hi, lads. How you doing?
Yeah, hi guys. Doing good.
So each week we're going to bring you 2 of the Planet FPL correspondents whose teams are playing against each other to try and get an insight into that particular game, what they think the lineups are going to be, what they think the score is going to be. But we already know West Ham are going to win 3-0 on Saturday.
Sure.
And get a bit more insight into what's going on with each of their respective clubs.
Cool. So who do these guys support?
So Chris supports the greatest club in the United Kingdom, in West Ham United. And Johnny, remind me who you support, that little club up north?
The Champions of England.
Yeah. So let's start with Johnny. So today is transfer deadline day, and there's all sorts of stuff going on here, there, and everywhere. I was on the BBC website, Sky News website, etc., etc. And the one thing that I saw today that just completely confused the hell out of me was C.O.T.C close to loan deal at Manchester City for like what? Do you have an over 30s, over 40s league or some shit like that? Because I hadn't heard about this guy for about 4 years.
No, I have no idea what's going on with that one. I think it's because they want to loan out our third choice keeper. So they just want to bring in a third choice keeper, but obviously a homegrown one.
Yeah.
Scott Carson's obviously the name that they've come up with.
Right, okay, so now we know what's going on. I've got a British passport, so if you're looking for that, for like fourth choice centre-back, I think they could even come in for me. If they're going for Scott Carson, I'm sure I'm as good as Scott Carson these days.
We mentioned this in the summer about a lot of clubs going for English third choice goalkeepers.
Correct.
Because it just takes up one of the quota positions.
Exactly, correct. And Chris, today West Ham have signed Albion Algeti, and forgive my pronunciation if it's awful. A striker's coming in for reinforcements.
It's a bit of a strange one, I mean, I suppose. Yeah, he seems looks all right actually. You've seen, the usual YouTube clips, so that's kind of all I know about him really. I know it's the Basel, wasn't he? He was playing.
Exactly,
for, so
15 goals in 35 last year.
15 gols. So yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to be first choice, but he's I think he's only 22, so. He's quite a good signing. I think they got him on quite a long contract, so that'd be good.
It's good. It's good that we check the YouTube clips after we bought him. I remember the days where we bought players off their YouTube clips without actually seeing real scouting and them playing real.
Can I say 2 things about this new signing? 1.
Yes.
Everybody looks great on YouTube.
Of course 2, they do. That's why I'm saying there's no value in watching YouTube highlights reels
2,
at all.
Nobody has bought a good forward for under 10 million in a long time.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
8 million now is a packet of crisps for a centre
forward.
forward.
It's nothing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this shit. Next.
You can assume
That's
away.
It, yeah. I think Scott Carson's worth more.
Or maybe. But then I don't understand by the same token, and let's not get sidetracked into transfer deadline day, but then David Luiz is going for 8 million, which just seems a ridiculous amount.
Is that the
money.
fee?
That's what they've agreed the fee is. Anyone rubbish available for less than 10 million? It's possible. Let's talk about Saturday. So Chris, you're going to be at the game. Johnny, away day, coming down to London?
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Oh, you are? Well, we'll meet up if we beat you.
It won't be no meet up.
Yeah.
Chris, if we start with you first.
Yeah.
It's obviously an easy start to the season.
the easiest game ever.
You've got a quite horrendous recent home record against City as well.
Yeah.
But the feeling around the club seems quite positive at the moment with this sort of 3 playmakers in behind Allaire up front, with Anderson, Fornals and Lanzini. Can you just clarify for the listeners how you think the 3 of them will be positioned at the weekend, if that's the 3?
Well, the last 3 friendlies, they played the same formation. So Anderson switched from the left to the right. So he started all those friendlies on the right. Fornals has been the number 10, and Lanzini's been on the left. Lanzini's actually scored a goal in each of the games. Seems to be sort of cutting in and getting into the box quite a lot, which is interesting. Anderson's not had much in the way of actual goals or assists, but seems to be playing quite well. And obviously Fornals has been linking up, and then obviously linking up with Haller, who's kind of been knitting it all together, which is what was expected of him, I suppose. So the fact they played that formation for 3 games on the trot would lead you to believe that's how they're going to set up, unless there's some, maybe a tactical change for that one game. But that's what I would expect.
I think you'd treat it as a free hit at the weekend, wouldn't you, almost?
Yeah.
Just swing at it. Because the fixture run's great from game week 2, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a really good run after game week 2. But yeah, this weekend, I would rather lose 4-0 having gone for it than kind of weekly try and stubbornly hold out Manchester City and end up losing 4-0
I
anyway.
think you've tried it both ways and had the same result, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think the trouble we've got is that our defence hasn't really improved, and I know you don't take a lot from pre-season in terms of results, but there's been nothing in the kind of performances that I've seen that have instilled you with confidence. Although Fabianski wasn't playing in
Any of the
2 or 3 of those friendlies, so that will make a difference.
He's fit, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Planet FPL wifey will be absolutely
Happy.
delighted. I'm not sure. I mean, if the back 4 stays fit, I think West Ham, the core of the team's all right, isn't it? I mean, what are your expectations, Chris? I know we spoke sort of at the live show at the start of the season, and you were expecting sort of top half and hopefully a bit of a kick on, but you're a lot more realistic than Suj. What are your hopes for the season?
I think anything from 10th upwards would be good. 7th is the target realistically. And when I say realistically, that's the upper limit of that target. But there's not much between those teams, and I think Everton have made some good signings. It's just how they gel. I think the thing that we've got to our advantage is the core of the team hasn't changed, so there's not major restructuring required. And where we've improved is our goals. So my hope would be is that maybe we can get ahead in games, maybe be a goal up, 2 goals up, where before we were struggling to score, and that might take a bit of pressure off the defence.
Yeah. Johnny, City started last season a little slower than maybe you expect. I remember the Bournemouth game, sneaking across the line and that kind of thing. Are you expecting to hit the ground running, or do you think it's going to be... The expectation is always there with City, and West Ham are going to set up with two in front of the back 4 and defensively trying to cut out the space and make it difficult for you guys?
Yeah, I think the expectation is just to hit the ground running again. I think in previous seasons before the previous 2, the title race sort of allowed you a little bit of leeway in that you could maybe have sort of a few draws from the first few games, but you've just got to win all of your games these days. And I think, we had a pretty solid start last season, so hopefully the same again.
Yep.
I think that Bournemouth game you're referring to is the year before.
Oh, was that the year before?
Yeah, I was going to say that was the year before. Because that was the game after we drew at home with Everton as well.
The pressure's definitely going to be on this year. There is a little bit of talk about how City will line up with the front 3 and whether or not Jesus is going to get minutes or Sterling is going to be pushed right up top. Do you have any thoughts on what you think will actually play out this weekend?
I thought that Sterling would start the season up front. I tweeted about it a few times. But obviously after Sane's injury at the weekend, I think Sterling will probably get pushed out to the left and he'll bring Jesus in and he'll play up front. I think he'll play Jesus over Aguero purely because Jesus has got minutes in his legs and Aguero hasn't.
Is there any impact, do you think, Johnny, for FPL returns on where Sterling plays in terms of... Is there any effects? Do you know if he returns better if he's off the left or if he's off the right? If he did play through the middle, do you think that would impact him in a negative way?
See, I was thinking about this yesterday, actually, because I hadn't really thought about it. But when you do think about it, most of Sterling's goals come from just being tap-ins.
Yeah.
He's just very good at getting in the box, and I'm not sure that really changes from where he plays. Whenever he plays on the left or right, he usually always arrives on the back post. And him playing up front, you think would just basically make it easier for him to get into the box.
I'm thinking from that perspective, if we assume he's going to play on the left at the moment, obviously Bernardo's not going to get to the touchline as regularly as, say, a Sane or a Mendy, who won't, obviously, we assume neither will play from the left. That's what I'm thinking about in terms of, I don't know if that has a negative effect of saying, because Johnny's spot on, most of them goals come from his movement and being in the right place at the right time. But obviously, he played. Bernardo and Sterling basically played those positions for the last couple of months of last season. It didn't impact his numbers particularly.
Yeah, that thought did enter my mind actually about if Sane does have a long-term injury, Sterling probably won't play on the right-hand side that much, and he is going to be on the left. And you are right about Bernardo not getting to the byline as much. But then you'd hope that would be levelled out by the goals that Sterling gets when he cuts in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because you remember some of the goals he scored last season when he played on the left-hand side. I'm thinking back to the Tottenham game in the
exactly
Champions
what I
League.
was thinking of, yeah.
The first goal was the one he cut inside. And then the second one was even a tap in at the back post. Because even though Bernardo won't get to the touchline, something that you'll see with De Bruyne and him, De Bruyne is the one that always gets to the byline, sort of underlapping the right winger, if you know what I mean. You saw that a little bit with Mahrez towards the end of last season, and you'll probably see it with Bernardo as well. It'll be De Bruyne, the guy supplying the crosses. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that type of goal more, sort of a little ball inside and De Bruyne putting it across for Sterling.
Just we're now 36 hours away from game week 1 deadline. I'm interested for both of you, starting with Chris. Do you have which players from your own clubs you have in your drafts? Do you have any West Ham players at the moment, Chris?
I've put in Fabianski, funnily enough.
Okay.
I do think he's decent value at 5 million. When you look at the keepers, all of the ones around that price, I think he was the highest. Everyone else got likes of Pickford and those sort of players have all been bumped up to like 5.5.
Yeah.
The ones around 5 million have got lower points total. So I think, aside from maybe this week, but then he could still pick up 4 points by making loads of saves.
The saves, sure.
So I'm happy with him. I was going to have Anderson, but I think with the uncertainty, because he's now changed formation, I don't know how that's going to translate into FPL. So I'm kind of waiting on that. So I'll probably wait a couple of weeks, because you're not really going to gain much in terms of knowledge from the City game, because you're not going to have loads of the ball really to see how it's going to play out. So I'm probably going to wait and see on the West Ham attacking assets. But I would have one in, I would say, from game week 3.
Mm-hmm. So just Fabianski for game week 1 for you.
Yeah.
And Johnny, what about you? Which City, which of the million City assets that you could own have you finally gone with?
I've got Zinchenko and Sterling at the moment.
Just 2?
Just for 2. I've been considering a third in De Bruyne.
Yep.
But at the moment he isn't in. I've got Zinchenko, obviously. I think everyone wants a City defender. I think Laporte is the safest one. But just to save myself a bit of money, I've got Zinchenko, because I think he will start the first 4 games while Mendy is out injured. And then I am one of them guys who probably is planning an early wild card, so probably reassess after game week 4. And then Sterling just speaks for itself. I think a lot of people have got him in.
Yeah,
I've got him too.
And do you think Kyle Walker's place is now at real threat with the new right back coming in from Juve, Carrasco, or what have you? How have you pronounced his name?
Cancelo. Yeah, sorry. I tweeted about this last night. Danilo was just a pure backup to Walker. He didn't really offer anything that Walker didn't. Whereas Cancelo, I think, will offer a genuine alternative. He's supposed to be better going forward than Walker.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that will mean Pep will play him sort of more at home against, say, maybe the weaker teams when we don't need Walker's defensive abilities. But I think Walker will start to share minutes rather than dominate them.
That's interesting, because I'm starting the season with Walker. Do you have Walker as well? And the reason I'm starting with Walker is safety.
I think Walker will start the season and the first few games before he gets Cancelo to settle in. But I think in sort of long term, you'll see the minutes split. Yeah,
that's interesting, because I don't own Kyle Walker for his attacking returns. It's the defensive returns, really. And if you're that bullish that Zinchenko will start the first 4, and after the first 4, Walker's minutes are going to get reduced with Cancelo, then maybe jumping to Zinchenko now might be a better option for me. And then I've got an extra $500,000 to play with.
I've got 6 City players.
I think people underrate quite how much Pep likes Zinchenko.
Okay.
I mean, he played, I think it was the last 9 games in a row, and we won all 9.
Yeah,
every Premier League game he's played, he's won.
Game that he's played in. Yeah. Okay.
Which is mad. Yeah, I've got 6 City players under consideration at the moment. Sterling, De Bruyne. I've had De Bruyne in the whole way through. I've actually changed to Sterling at the moment and jiggled things. And I'm considering the whole of what I think the back four will be at the weekend. I like Johnny. My opinion on Walker is that Walker will probably start the first four while Cancelo gets his feet in. But I don't know. I've also got a feeling that he can cover at left back as well, is what I've heard. I'm sure Zinchenko's obviously going to remain first choice there. And John Stones is massively in my thoughts as well. I know you think, Johnny, that he'll probably get the run.
Yeah, I think he'll start the season.
It's 5.5. And you think last year, what we were doing this time last year, we were fighting for Otamendi, weren't we?
Yeah.
Because of what he'd done the last year. Now we're all sort of, Laporte. Should we be going another way? If he's going to sit there every week, you're looking at the moment in terms of cover being Otamendi, maybe Fernandinho dropping in occasionally, or the young lad, it's Garcia, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah.
Stones looks like I don't know, the closer I get, I don't really want to bottle it and just go for the safe one. But
yeah.
I'm thinking with De Bruyne back as well, he's all right in the air, Stones. He's never converted it into attacking returns. I don't know. City is my big problem right now. Because I don't know, Johnny, how you cope and sit there with only two.
Well, yeah. I know, like I say, I'm considering a third, but I don't know whether it'll be too much to have sort of 3 premium midfielders.
Are you a little off-put because you think the start is a little tricky?
Cities, yeah. I mean, obviously we've got 2 away games either side of Tottenham at home. I mean, Brighton at home is where it starts to get a little easier in game week 4. But I was just thinking about the sort of record we've got against them teams. And like you said, West Ham away, we've got a good record. Tottenham at home, I mean, ultimately we went out, but I mean, we scored 4 in that fixture last year and 4 in that fixture the season before. Bournemouth away. I mean, Bournemouth, sorry, we've won every game we've played against them. I think we've got an aggregate score against them of like 25-1 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the corresponding
so even
results
though
for the 3
they look
fixtures,
difficult on paper, City have got good records in them fixtures.
Yeah, and the one for me is as well in the same 3 league fixtures from last season, clean sheets in all of them. So
yeah.
was it 4-0
And
at West Ham and the other 2 1-0?
Yeah.
Interesting. It is transfer deadline day. Chris, anyone else you'd like to see come in to West Ham?
I don't think we're really going to get anyone now.
No.
Pellegrini doesn't like loan deals apparently, so I'm not sure unless someone was leaving, which I've not really heard anything like that now. I think it's pretty much done. There might be a cheapie come in or something from somewhere that we've never heard of, but it's only going to be squad players. Diagana's gone out though. He's gone out on loan to West Brom. I think it's just got to be finalised. So it'll probably be good. I think it'll be good for him because he'll be under Bilic and Dix at West Brom. So give him a bit of experience, get his confidence back. But,
I agree with you on that. I think with the strength and depth in that behind the striker, he was going to struggle to get consistent minutes. And at his age, the young player that he is, he's better off getting regular minutes. The one place we needed reinforcements was up front. As an alternative to Haller. We've bought someone. I don't know if it's anyone good enough, but we have now got 2 or 3 players in every position. We need to now just work as a team and make it happen. And same thing for you.
Left back's a bit weak.
Oh, Cresswell and Masuaku, you can rotate between the 2.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson
stick with them.
can play on either side as a utility fullback. So we've got enough cover, I would say, to get us through at least until January.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Apart from Scott Carson, do you see anyone else coming in at City now? You guys are generally quite efficient with your business, so we don't have the same stuff that we have with the likes of Arsenal, where you've got rumours for about 3 weeks before they actually sign the player. City seem to just announce that the deal is done. So I'd be surprised because there's not many other rumours around City. But do you expect anyone else?
No, it doesn't look like there's anything going on. I think we all would have liked a centre-back. I think there's a big Vincent Kompany-shaped hole in the squad. But City aren't the type of team that'll just go out and buy anyone to fill a gap. They'll just wait. So I think we'll make do with what we've got.
Johnny, just on that briefly, any concern on leadership within the team at the moment?
Not necessarily leadership. I think Kompany's influence, sort of in the dressing room, will have an effect. I think we've got enough characters in the dressing room and enough experience that you'd hope that leadership isn't a sort of a problem. But I mean, like Kompany's individual influence on big games, you could tell had an effect last season, and I think maybe we will miss that.
So they're voting on the players are voting on the captain, aren't they? Has that been announced yet?
No, yeah, they follow this sort of Barcelona type model where they have captains, where they have sort of like 4-player captains, and that's sort of the way it works down.
Well, I've never come across that before. I've never seen the Premier League vote on their captain.
We did it when Pochettino came in at Spurs. He let the players pick, right? And this is how deluded the fucking squad was at the moment. They voted for Cabal as captain and Adebayor as vice captain.
What?
I think I remember that.
No wonder within a couple of months, Pochettino was like, what is happening?
How did Adebayor get vice captain?
Lord knows. But they were both out by January, mate. So, yeah, it was a bit of a farce. So, I mean, that's obviously not going to be the case of what happens at City. And there are players, I think, David Silva short term, or even could be giving it to De Bruyne longer term. There's choices there that they can look at. I don't think it's concerned.
I think it should be De Bruyne.
I would go with that. Just from an outsider, it's a little bit like Guardiola's so meticulous. You think, he's just gone, fuck it. I don't know. Interesting.
He's always been about galvanising the team. He's a very good man manager, so I think he probably already knows who will emerge from the crop. But I think he's just giving the players a bit of credit to make their decision.
They've earned that trust a bit, haven't they?
Exactly, definitely. Chris, let's just to wrap up. Tell us, what do you think the score is going to be on Saturday?
I don't think it's going to be 3-0. I think it's going to be 3-1, but not to West Ham. I think it's going to be obviously 3-1 to City, I think, which should be an improvement, actually, because usually it's like playing golf. It's usually all I hear is 4 usually when we play City.
Yeah. So you think West Ham will get on the score sheet, but City will rack up the 3 goals that they need?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think we could do better than that, and we should be looking to get at least a draw out of the game. So, Johnny, what is your point of view? Do you think another 4 or 5-0?
No, I was going to say 3-1 as well, actually.
Okay.
Do you know what I was waiting for him to say? 2-0, and I was going to say, yeah, you said that before the cup final as well, mate.
Yeah, 2-0 in the first half and 2-0 again in the second half is probably more realistic with City. But 3-1 coming in from both of you guys. A scoreline like that wouldn't surprise me. I do think West Ham have the ability to get on the score sheet, but it'll probably be one of those where City are already 2 or 3 up, and then relax a little bit at the back, and then we can go for it. But the only way we can, in my opinion, get anything out of the game is keep it really, really tight until 60, 65 minutes. If it's still 0-0 at 60, 65 minutes, then City will get more desperate. West Ham will be defending very deep, and we can nick something on the counter. That's how I see us getting anything out of the game. But looking back at last year, I mean, Sterling scored so early, and then Sane scored so early, game over by 15, 20 minutes. And that could easily happen as well.
That's happened in a lot of the games at Stratford. A lot. Just before we go, Johnny, just interested to know, because in terms of the West Ham opinions covered on this podcast, obviously we've got Chris and Serge, and all I do is take the piss and insult. So what do you think about West Ham at the moment? Do you think they can push towards the top 6?
Yeah, I think they've got a solid team. I like West Ham. They've got a good manager as well in Pellegrini. I mean, they didn't really like him at City towards the end, but you can tell he's having an effect on West Ham. They're building a solid squad. Yeah, I wouldn't put them up there quite at the moment with Everton and Leicester maybe in terms of strength, but they should definitely be pushing the top 10.
And Chris, is anybody else going to win the league other than them?
Well, it's only really Liverpool, I would say, but if Man City are capable of getting 100 points, it doesn't really leave much a chance for anyone else, really, does it?
City's points totals,
It's
mate.
ridiculous.
I think it would be, unfortunately, it'd be a bit more comfortable this year.
A little bit. It won't be as easy as 2 years ago, but it won't be as tough as last year, is my general thought on it. The only thing I think for City, obviously, is that the Champions League's the one missing piece of silverware. And I could see Pep focusing more energy on the Champions League, and that could have an impact on the league.
Once they're 10 points clear.
Yeah, potentially true. So, guys, listen, we just want to say thanks again for the articles you've been popping up in pre-season. I know one just went live for you yesterday, Johnny, and Chris, you've put a couple of bits and pieces about the West Ham squad, player-by-player breakdowns and what have you. So anybody who's still umming and ahhing and on the fence about City players and less people are umming and ahhing about West Ham players, but if you do have a read of the articles that the guys have put up. And depending on what the score is on Saturday, there'll be some banter on Twitter.
No doubt.
Yeah, or then maybe Twitter switched off, Chris, right?
Yeah, we'll wait until 5:30 and see what happens with Spurs first.
The question is, come 2:30 on Saturday, who's going to be bottom of the league? It'll be Norwich or West Ham.
If we lose 3-1, then we'd be okay, I think.
Yeah, let's see. Come on, we got Super Jack now. Jack's fit, so we'll be all right. And on that bombshell, I love the look of James's face every time Jack Wilshere's name is mentioned.
What a guy.
Yes, indeed. Guys, anything else you want to put out to the Twitter FPL podcast community before we wrap up for Clash of the Correspondents?
No, nothing from me. I think we're all good. Obviously, any questions or anything, then just message me or whatever. That's fine. I'll always answer.
Excellent. And Johnny, good luck, but not too much luck for Saturday.
Thank you.
Just make sure Sterling scores if anyone scores.
Yes. Guys, so do stay tuned to Planet FPL Pod. We'll be on Twitter throughout this rest of this transfer deadline day, although this will age before I'll jump on Twitter every 4 to 6 hours.
Days.
Yeah. And tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow we've got a final rundown on our dead team, differential team, both of our teams in terms of James and my final draft for game week 1, followed by a live stream of us watching the Liverpool-Norwich game. Manchild and Mattchild are joining us for that as well, so that'll be quite a bit of fun. And a little bit of a celebration, because dare I tell the listeners, I had a look on the old stats. Saturday is exactly 2 years to the day that we released the first ever Planet FPL podcast. So we've been going for 2 years on Saturday. So it'd be nice if West Ham rewarded that anniversary with a win.
Would it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. By the way, I don't mind if you win Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm never above Man City, am I? So it'd be nice if I could have it for a day.
2 years to the day. There we go. Guys, thanks for tuning in again, and do stay tuned for all the content coming out. Other than that, ciao for now.
Cue music, man. Ciao. Thanks, gents.
Ciao.